Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Sports Banter across the country. We got we have Trajan, Wisconsin Sports on the go. You already know. I mean, I was just on the channel like a few minutes ago. Well, I'm back. We're back with another edition. But Trajan, how are you doing tonight? Before we get into everything.
Oh, we're doing good. It is a great day to be. I got my decorations up behind me, my festive decorations up behind me for the
Yep.
holidays coming up. So, I mean, what better? What better? There's lots of wild, crazy, big storylines going around the NFL and everything right now. So, I can't wait to get into it today. I can't wait. I can't wait for it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we'll touch on some of that because there's some interesting news from not only the commissioner. We've had some interesting transactions happen amongst some teams that definitely needed some help. We'll probably look at some of the big games this weekend and find out if where we stand on that because I know your team has a big matchup this week and a game that I will definitely be paying attention to, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. Jory's wondering, freezing up there yet? Even though I heard it is supposed to be like 75 for the game this weekend.
It's supposed to be, but last weekend it was supposed to be warm too, and then there was like 20-mile-per-hour breezes, and it was cold,
Yeah.
like all get out. Right now, we're in that great time of fall where you wake up in the morning and you turn your heat on in your vehicle because it's so cold outside to get to work,
Hmm.
and then at the end of the day, you have the AC on because it's so hot that you don't know what to do. Like you're in that phase right now. You're bundling up when you walk out the door, and when you get home you're carrying in 3 layers of clothes because you couldn't wear them throughout the whole. That's where we're at right now. That's where we're at. I
Right.
tell you what, the thing that irritates me the most though is that the sun goes down a little bit earlier. I That sucks. That sucks. I can handle the cold, but I can't handle that it's like 5 o'clock and the sun's setting already. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I understand that. Like it lets you know that the summer is moving further and further away from you, and you're getting closer to those days where you're just grasping at the couple of hours of sun you do get. It makes you just want those days back when the sun's out a lot longer. It's just the vicious cycle of life.
It is.
You get the
Life.
summer, it becomes too hot, you want it gone. Then when it's gone, you want the summer back.
Agreed. Agreed. And get rid of the ladybugs. I'm with that one too. The bipolar phase is 100%. It doesn't know what it wants to do outside. It might snow. It might rain. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. Well, hey, we're just here to take it one day at a time. That's all we can do. So, um, I figure we'll start with, I guess, Goodell. I know you were telling me before we came on here that Goodell has some interesting plans for the NFL. So I'm gonna let you go ahead and share that with those that are watching.
So a big sports guy, the big sports guy, the unit they call him, big unit from Wisconsin, Bill Michaels. He was on his radio show and he was talking about it. And then he put out a post on Facebook and he essentially said, "Could the NFL really take the Super Bowl overseas?" And then he said, according to Roger Goodell, it could happen sooner rather than later. So Goodell said, "We've always traditionally tried to play the Super Bowl in an NFL city. That was always sort of a reward for the cities that have NFL franchises," he said when answering the question about moving the NFL's biggest game. But things change. It wouldn't surprise me if that happens one day. Super Bowl sites have been awarded through 2028, so New Orleans, San Francisco, LA. But after that, who knows? I hate the city. And
Hmm.
then he went on to say, "I hate that cities are being held hostage to use public money for stadiums only to have a game or two ripped away from that local economy, to take money to countries that are not franchise holders." I saw that. I reposted it. I posted it over on my TikTok page and everything like that. I cannot agree anymore. I can't agree anymore with them because You know what it does. Honestly, it's not just I want to look out for season ticket holders and everything like that. Like you want the fans to have the experience of being able to go to their local games and stuff like that. I get that. But you look at the hotels, you look at the
Mhm.
bars, you look at the restaurants, you look at, I mean, just Uber drivers and everything else. I mean, Uber drivers don't make the country go around, but they do sometimes, right? Everybody has their way to make a living. You look at times where, let's just say, I mean, if your Patriots came to Lambeau Field, right, and people from New England flew into, they would fly into somewhere else with that to end up in Green Bay there, you
Mhm.
need to, you don't have a vehicle, right? So you need to either Uber there, you need to walk around. You're going to need places to eat. So you're looking at restaurants, you're looking at hotels there. So now, let's just say you take the Packers overseas that week, that technically could be a home game for them, just like the Eagles going down to Brazil. They lost the home game because they were the home team for that game in Brazil. That's not a home game. That's not a home game. This isn't what the fans are paying for. And then you get all this crap coming out of Brazil that they didn't even want fans there because they were nervous that they might go down there and get shot. They might get, taken. You didn't know what was going to happen if you took your family down to Brazil. So
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
deters a lot of people away. Now, I'm not saying they have these same problems in London or they have these same problems in Germany or anything like that. But why do we want to take a game that, like he said, this has traditionally been NFL franchises rewarding them for having a team in their city? Why do you want to take it and take it away from them? Why do you want to take that? And it's so tough these days. And you know what the big argument's going to be? Well, honestly, what regular person's going to the Super Bowl? You can't afford to. It's your high name celebrities, it's your higher paid people in the world. Your average Joe can't go and watch the Super Bowl at the stadium these days. It's just not. It's highly impossible now unless you sit nosebleed, and that's still ridiculous price tickets. But
Sure. Sure.
you're taking away from even the atmosphere around a town, and it's the financial part, it's the atmosphere around that town, it's the prestige of a city to be able to host a Super Bowl. I don't think Atlanta should host any. I don't like Atlanta. I don't think it's a great Super Bowl town. San Francisco, that's even not that great of a. Maybe the people aren't that bad, but I don't think it's a great town to have a Super Bowl. I don't know what would be a great town to have a Super Bowl, but what I'm saying is you got to keep this thing in the States. You have to. You already are putting enough of the games overseas, and they're talking about putting
Mhm.
even
Mhm.
more games overseas. That's going to be ridiculous. I would hate if my Packers played 2 games overseas. That'd be ridiculous. So I think they need to cut the crap before it gets too far and before they start to tick off a lot of cities, not just franchises. And I think the owners need to step in and take care of this one before it gets too far. I think they do. I think the owners have to step in and say, enough's enough. Like, we'll take our team overseas once, but that's it, because our fans, our local businesses, this and that, they need their financial living too. And a lot of them bank on it. You think about hotels in Chicago, right? A lot of them
Mhm. Mhm.
bank on Bears home games, Lambeau. I mean, a lot of Green Bay hotels and restaurants, they make extra during that time. You think of the bartenders and the hostess or whatever it is. They make tips, extra tips during these times. So it sucks. It really does. And I would hate to see the Super Bowl taken overseas simply because of dollars. Simply because of dollars. I mean, I get it. There's a crowd over there too, but you know what? Come here then. You really want to watch it that bad? Come here then, because it started here. The franchises, the fan bases, the cities, they deserve to have it here.
I mean, I see what you're saying, because I hear a lot of fans that obviously say that as well. My pushback normally is, out of the major sports, the NFL is the one that doesn't have that big of a global footprint. Its biggest support is within the U.S. You look at the NBA. NBA could go anywhere, and they're popular. You know, uh, soccer obviously is a global game. You have NHL, which is more of a global game because most of their players are European or Canadian, stuff like that. For the NFL, it's usually U.S. and only now because of NFL Europe that they had that folded or whatever, and the global games. It's a bit of a bigger footprint, but Goodell would love to be on the same kind of stage as the NBA, so I'm not surprised by it. I wonder how close we actually are to a Super Bowl being over in London. I feel like it's probably further away than we think, but I don't know. Like, because I don't really have the desire to go to a Super Bowl, only because the price tag and everything. I'm perfectly fine watching it in my house. I don't care either way. But so if it was in London, wouldn't make much difference to me. I know what you're saying that a lot of these cities, when they get the Super Bowl and they're awarded it, like the city might create a buzz. A lot of people like it, but being in Atlanta, there are people that aren't big fans of Super Bowls when they come in because that just brings in extra traffic. It usually brings in construction to get ready, which creates a whole other problem. So there might be some city, and plus, not every city even gets one because they usually keep it to warmer cities and cities with a dome. Not every NFL city has one. I mean, I'm from Boston, never got a Super Bowl, and I kind of understand probably never will get one. So I feel like it's not that big of a deal. I feel like when the first do one, people are gonna hate it, but I feel like it won't be that bad. Like as long as the field is okay, as long as the entertainment's fine at halftime, like that's what people care about.
I just I hate the fact that it's just dollars. That's all that it is. I really don't think that Roger Goodell gives two rats a-holes if fans or you create more buzz. The creating more buzz is just getting more money. That's end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's all he wants. He wants more
Yeah.
money towards it. That's it. That's plain and simple. It's not like he's trying to influence these other countries to, oh, we should kick up a football team because this looks like it's fun kind of thing. Like it's not like he's trying to do that kind of stuff. He's trying to put it on a global stage for money, which irritates me because you could be making these businesses in the States money while bringing a Super Bowl to town, while doing this, keeping games local, all this kind of stuff. So that's the part that irritates me because you're bringing money into businesses that have nothing to do with the United States, which is where this team is from. I mean, Green Bay would not be excited if their local bars and everything or hotels or restaurants were put to shame because they're playing 3 games overseas this year and 2 of them are considered home games. Packer fans, season ticket holders, they wouldn't be happy with that fact. So that's kind of where I think there has to be a line drawn. I really do think there has to be a line drawn. I think we might be closer to a Super Bowl overseas. Like, I talked through 2028, 2029, 2030. Like, I could see in that range where we could be talking about a Super Bowl overseas because it seems like there's a push by Roger Goodell to get more games overseas. The more games you
Mm-hmm.
put over there, the closer we get. And I think within the next couple years, we're going to be talking about more games overseas, and I think that's going to lead to more important events overseas. And like you said, I mean, the NBA. Why wouldn't the NBA put their finals overseas then? Why wouldn't they play on a neutral court overseas? I mean, you know what I mean? Like, why wouldn't they? They're a global thing. Why wouldn't they do it? Because they bring money in no matter what. They're going to bring money in. I mean, look at baseball. They could easily put the Dodgers and the Yankees over in Japan for a World Series. They would draw a crowd. They would draw a
Mm-hmm.
crowd. But they're going to draw a crowd anyways. They're going to draw a crowd anyways. And then at the end of the day, over TV and everything like that, they're going to draw a crowd. These foreign countries have the ability, if they pay, which is what you would want for your cities to, or not for your cities, but for your providers to get money off that too. So you have all these foreign countries and people in that foreign country, they're able to pay to those providers to get to watch the game, just like everybody else has got to do
Yeah.
here. So I don't know. I mean, I get what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, trying to make a global footprint. But I feel like you've already pushed it as far as you. It's like people in London. If you care about football, you already know about football. Like that's plain and simple. I don't think that dragging games over there is actually going to bring more of a footprint, I guess I want to say. Because if you know about it, you already know about it. You know what? I guess I don't know. I'm trying to think of how I'm trying to say it. Like the NBA, why is it big? There's basketball over there too, right? There's basketball in Europe. You get to see European leagues over there. Maybe it's not as highly skilled as what we see in the United States, but they got some pretty good players in the European leagues too. Football, if it was going to make a global imprint, I think it already would have. Like, honestly, I think it would have already done it just because, I mean, you look at the games that have spread: baseball, basketball, hockey, everything spreads. Why hasn't football spread? It's an American thing, it's an American sport that we play. Football is soccer over there. Guys who you would think would play football, they're soccer players over there in Europe and everything like that. So I don't know. I guess it's to each their own on that discussion
Mhm.
for it. But for me, I just don't want to see it spread too far. I want to keep it in the States as much as I possibly can.
Well, I mean, yes, you do raise a good point about the other leagues. There's also one big difference. All those other sports have an Olympic event, which
Oh, yeah.
helps grow globally. So when the Dream Team happened, because remember before that, basketball was kind of in the same situation where they had a bit of a buzz outside the U.S., but they were mainly a U.S. thing. And then Dream Team goes over there, people go crazy. It's like, oh, there goes Michael Jordan, there goes Larry Bird, and we started seeing an influx of international players, which then blew that league up. Baseball's the same thing. Baseball has been in the Olympics, been out of it, been back in, so it's got that as well. And other countries do play it. When you look at the NFL, it's the U.S. Although now, because of the NFL, as part of putting games overseas, have put in programs like identifying talent overseas that they brought over, because we see it every draft now. They'll talk about like some lineman coming over from Germany, and they'll say, "Yeah, that's from the NFL development program that's in Germany." So as that continues, then yes, the push to put a Super Bowl outside, it might be something where they give Germany a Super Bowl to reward them for that developmental program that they've got running there. Like I said, I don't have a problem with it only because I guess I'm used to these sports being a business, because that's literally what these commissioners' jobs are to do: bring in as much money as you can. So if Goodell sees that, oh, let's say 2035, we tell Wembley Stadium, we will bring a Super Bowl over there. As much of fans that have been created over there, because we see that they when the Jags play there, there's a lot of people wearing Jags jerseys or the team that they're facing against. So they've done something. Have they done enough to necessarily warrant getting a Super Bowl? Maybe not yet, but maybe that's why down the line it could be something that they entertain. I mean, it's not like it's going to be something they're going to do every year. They'll still do their normal spots here in the U.S. Because, like I said, there's only a few cities they really like going to in the U.S. It's New Orleans, um, L.A., Phoenix, Miami, like Houston. Like it's only a few. So I guess to expand the rotation, if they want to throw in, I guess a London here or there. I don't know about Brazil. Brazil got their opportunity this year. I don't know how the NFL feels about them, but it would obviously be London first, maybe Berlin, Germany, or something like that. It wouldn't be too many places outside the U.S. anyway. So, like I said, I don't think it'd be a big deal, but I can understand if there are fans that don't like it. I guess I would see why not. I just feel like for the popularity of the game, like why not? Why not try it at least?
I guess I'm looking past the money hungry Roger Goodell and I'm looking for local impacts. I guess that's what I'm looking at. I'm not
Yeah.
boxing it into just him. I'm boxing it into what the financial outlook will be for other, like I said before, hotels, bars,
Mhm.
what you call it's throughout there. That's what I'm expanding it to. I don't want to, because I hate money hungry guys. I hate the NCAA. I hate a lot of those. I hate owners. Like sometimes I hate the owners. Like it really comes down to, and commissioners especially. Like money is the objective, which sucks because when money is the sole objective, then are you making a better game or are you ruining the game while making money? That's what I look at, and Baseball has done a pretty good job so far. A pretty good job. They put in a lot of rules that I don't completely agree with, but that's just me. Everybody has their own opinions on that. But I think
Mhm.
there's got to be fine lines drawn between where the owners have to step in and say, okay, we have businesses, we have this, we have that in this town. Either, and this is where I'll take it a step further. If, just if, they do want to do this, they do want to take it overseas and stuff like that, and they want to take, or even if they want to take more games overseas, I believe that the NFL should have to kind of, I don't know, reimburse that city evenly for their lost revenue that they would have made during that home game. Look at the Eagles when they had that game down in Sao Paulo. Like they would how much money would have that hotel made or that bar made or this and that and everything in between, and something that they rely on every single year because you only have so many home games. You only have so many, this and that. So it's one of those things for me, I guess, where I'm looking at the little guys outside of the NFL who rely on the NFL to make money.
Mhm.
And when you don't have that kind of revenue, your years turn to crap. Maybe I'm not going to go as far to say a business is going to go out of business just because
Mhm.
there isn't a game there, but you make a lot more. I mean, you make a lot more as a hotel, you make a lot more as a restaurant, you make a lot more as Uber driver, whatever it is. You're going to make a lot more. So I guess I that would be my take. Would be I think there has to be a way to reimburse cities for losing games along with that because your little guys are losing money along the way. That's my biggest thing
Yeah, I
with the
get that. I get
whole
that.
idea. I
Yeah.
get the money, I get the global footprint, I get trying to spread the game out as much as you can because I would love to see Australia or one of these. I don't think Australia is going to pick up teams, but Europe, all of a sudden creating this football league over there where maybe they come over here every once in a while and play, like the Patriots or something, and then we go over there and play them, that kind of thing. Like that'd be cool, like
Mhm.
a world football classic, like they have the World Baseball Classic. I just don't want to see the little guys start to get kind of screwed in the situation because of money hungry people like Roger Goodell trying to make more money and put it into his pocket. That's where I kind of want to draw the line there and keep the little guys in mind while we're keeping the big
Yeah.
guys in mind too.
Yeah. I get that. I mean, well, technically, you got to think about it. Like normally, they had a 16 game schedule, which meant 8 home, 8 away. Now, 17 games. Half the league technically has an extra home game that they can afford to technically have somewhere else because those businesses have been used to 8 home games. If a team has 9 and one goes overseas, you still get the 8 home games that you're used to. So maybe that's why there's such a push for 17, 18 regular season games, so that if you do have to move more games overseas, those cities that were used to their 8 home games, you don't really affect them that case. Now, yes, if you had a ninth home game, obviously for those local businesses, that's just more of a gain for them to get. But by taking away the ninth game, they're still getting the 8 games that they're used to having. I just feel like that's where the NFL is trying to kind of move with this.
Random neutral site game. That's what we'll call it. You get 8 home games, 8 road games, and then your ninth game is a random neutral site game.
Yeah,
We'll just put the
I
Bears and
mean,
the Packers in New England, just for craps and giggles, just because. Like just something random.
yeah,
Like send two teams just somewhere random and make them play. Don't those do the XFL teams have their own stadiums?
they kind of just use stadiums available because I feel like they
Does
either
the
use
Seattle team do
they
they
either use like
play?
a local college or something. They'll use their field or something like that.
Oh, that would be cool. That would be cool. We put an NFL game on a college stadium.
I mean, they could do that. I mean,
That
there
would
probably
be
would be like a
Alabama.
few.
Like
There'd be
you
like a
put
few
Atlanta and
stadiums that they would
Alabama.
use. Yeah,
That'd
use
be
the
cool.
Rose Bowl, the
Oh, see,
Horseshoe.
now we're thinking.
The,
Now, see, that would be cool. That'd be cool. Like to have some historic stadiums, or
yeah,
like who else is in Alabama? Because Tuscaloosa, that Alabama stadium would be big enough. They got it. They got a big capacity.
they
Trying
got Alabama. There's Auburn down there. There's
LSU's got a decent sized stadium, I believe. Trying to think of other
Use
stadiums that got
Michigan.
decent ones. Michigan's decent. Michigan's decent. I think seeing the Detroit Lions play, like, but can you imagine, like, you let the college kids in for, let's just say, they still get their student pass or whatever, and then you bring in
Mhm.
a bunch of revenue from other people around town getting to see the Detroit Lions play in Ann Arbor. Like, that'd be cool. That would
Yeah,
be something. I mean, Packers at Camp Randall, I would go.
yeah. I mean, we see the NHL do it somewhat with like their outdoor series, where they'll go to not necessarily traditional NHL hockey rinks like they do it. They'll do a hockey game at Fenway Park or Yankee Stadium or something like that. I think they've done one at Ann Arbor, I believe, once before. So it's something they could try. I mean, that wouldn't grow it globally, but I think it'd just be something that's cool to see. I'm actually not. I'm actually not upset with that one. Kind of
See?
surprised they haven't tried that yet.
I'm trying to think of, couldn't you could fit a football field on a baseball.
Yeah, they did it before. Like the
The Oakland A's and the
the
Oakland Raiders.
Raiders played on. Yeah, yeah.
We
So it's
put
been
we
done.
You take like the Packers to American Family Field and let them play on there. See, now we're thinking. Now we're thinking. Now, like you said, we're not bringing revenue, internationally, but we're putting together cool atmosphere.
Yeah,
See, now we're thinking.
I mean that's probably something that the owners could, you know, float out there. Like if Robert Kraft was like, "Hey, what if we took one of these games and played at Fenway just to create some different atmosphere? Why not?"
I wouldn't be opposed to it. I wouldn't be opposed
Yeah,
to that at all.
it'd be pretty
Make the
cool.
Green Monsters bigger than the field goal post.
Right. I mean, it's gonna be tough with a stadium like Fenway because of some of the dimensions being shorter, but I mean, be interesting. Throw a pass like outside out of the back of the end zone, it hits off the green monster. Why not?
At least you got a little more padding there. I mean, you'll run into the monster before you'll fall over. Imagine
Right.
playing at Yankee Stadium if they aimed it towards right field. You would go over top of the short porch every single time.
Yep.
That would hurt a little bit.
I mean, hey, it's interesting.
I like it.
I
I
mean, look,
like it.
I feel like that's something that we'll definitely keep our eyes on to see when they do award a international city a Super Bowl. We'll definitely have to revisit this, or if
Watch
they
my
take
Twitter
our
page.
idea and yeah, well, I mean, either that or if they take our idea of using non-traditional NFL stadiums to host a game or two, they to bring in a
I
new
will.
set of
I
fans
will
within that
condone
city.
that. I will be okay with that. You don't have to watch my Twitter page then. If they move it overseas, the Super Bowl, watch my Twitter page. There's going to be a blow up. There will be a blow up on Twitter, X, Twitter, or whatever you want to call it. It'll be all over
Yeah,
the place. I'll go on
yeah.
an
Like
hour
I said,
rant.
when it comes to Super Bowls, you can save that kind of experience if they go with some otherworldly like halftime show. Like you put it
Yeah,
in
like
London,
Katy
I don't
Perry
even know
riding
who
in
you.
on a freaking tiger. That didn't save
I wouldn't
nothing.
even know if they put it in London. Like, what would be a British act that American fans would go crazy if they got them for a Super Bowl?
What would be London? I don't even know what bands come out of London. Popular band from London. Oh, there's gonna be some stupid ones. The
It's probably
Rolling Stones. I don't know if are they still kicking. We got the Rolling Stones. We got Led Zeppelin. I'm pretty sure Queen's dead. Isn't Queen? Is Queen still going?
yeah. Freddie Mercury is no longer with us.
Pink Floyd is also from London. Okay, okay. The Who. I know one song by The Who. I know one total song, and that's
Hmm.
just because of CSI. That's it. Otherwise, I know
Yeah.
nothing about it.
Well, let's just say They put it in London and they bring all of those acts together for one ensemble of a halftime show. Now you're like, okay,
I was gonna say this one, but rest in peace. I'm pretty sure didn't Liam Payne just pass away from One Direction? Yeah,
he did. Yes.
probably not gonna bring them into this one here. Rest in peace, my friend. That was tragic and sad right there when I heard
Hmm.
that. I did not even see that one coming. Motorhead. Motorhead is from over there. They're like more of a rock band. I'm not see Coldplay's from over there too. I see, but all these are
Hmm.
rock. I'm not much of a rock guy. More of a country guy. Like, can we get a country artist on a halftime show? I know everybody says that they're gonna be really down and out, but like, I'm not a huge Morgan Wallen fan, but like Morgan Wallen on a halftime show, pretty sure would still be a pretty good one.
I feel. Oh, I mean, look, as somebody who's not necessarily big on country at all, like for me, I always envision certain cities. If you did it, I'd be like, okay. So like if Nashville got the Super Bowl and you said, "Here's your Super Bowl halftime as country artists," I'd be like, I may not know them, but I'd be like, makes sense. I mean, I would pay attention anyway because then maybe I would learn something or become somewhat of a fan of that artist. But
We're
I
too
think that I guess
stagnant though. It's too
I
much
feel that's
pop.
part of the problem. Well, yeah, because I mean, look at the most of the cities that they go to.
I know,
New
but that's the
Orleans is
problem. That's the problem. We can't play to the
yeah.
city. We got to play to the fans. Like, how many halftime shows I've gone on Twitter while watching the halftime show, and all I see
Mhm.
is them ripping on Katy Perry or ripping on Usher or ripping on this person, or when the Black Eyed Peas were on there and Fergie was just screwing up the world. Like, I mean, just all these different ones they put on there, and they just do a craptastic job. And then you get like who sang the national anthem? It was Chris Stapleton sang the national anthem, and all you see on Twitter is like, "That was fantastic. This guy's great. Love this guy. He should be the halftime
Mhm.
show." This and that, and it's like, I mean, you got to open up
I
sometime.
mean, I mean that's also another question, another conversation because there are the same way if you won like Red Hot Chili Peppers or something, you'd find sections of the country that would go on Twitter and say this is horrible. The same way that you find some who say, "Finally, we're getting what I wanted." Or if they did Chris Stapleton as a halftime show, there'd be a bunch of people who say this is terrible. Go back to hip hop or whatever. No one halftime act is ever going to be universally loved. We can kind of assume that. It's 2024 is the day and age of the loudest voices being the one that hates on everything. So maybe the best bet is you kind of combine it all. Have some crazy crossover where you have like, Kendrick Lamar lead into Chris Stapleton, who leads into somebody else. They make it work, and then maybe you get universally loved halftime show. I don't know if that happens because kind of the way they have it now is the headliner can kind of bring in certain guests with them. So maybe that's all it takes. One hip hop artist thinks outside the box and goes, "I would like to collab with this country guy. Bring him up." It sounds kind of cool, and then that becomes something. I don't know. Like I just like music, so I really don't care necessarily who the act is as long as it sounds good. Even though, like I said, I don't listen to country at all. I don't know anything about country.
I
Well,
feel like
I know a little bit. I
Peter
guess
wrote a lot.
I've heard Chris Stapleton. I will say like he's a talented dude. I give him that. He has a great voice.
And when did
Outside of that,
Cody Johnson too? When did he sing the national anthem? It was when was that terrible performance? Who had that terrible performance where she came out and said she was drunk when she did it? What was that for?
oh,
Was that
I
NFL
remember the Super
opening?
Bowl you're talking about.
Was that the opening night of the NFL?
Wait a minute, wait a minute.
What the heck was that for? She sang the national anthem for
Oh,
something, and
the All Star game, MLB All Star game,
she sang for was it the All Star game or the Home Run Derby? She sang for one of them.
home run. Oh, was that a home run derby? It was a home run derby because I remember the contestants were standing on. Yeah, it was a home run derby.
Yes, and then the next night you heard Cody Johnson because he sang on the All-Star game and he
Yes.
killed it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, his was masterful when he did it. So it's like night and day difference there. But so you've heard Cody Johnson too, I guess.
Yeah.
If you had to pick, the Rolling Stone came out with the ranked from worst to best Super Bowl halftime performances. I don't know if do you pull up a list. Pull up a list. Don't pull up the Rolling Stone list, but pull up a list of the halftime performances over the years.
Okay.
Because I'm
I
gonna
can do
quiz you.
that.
I'm gonna quiz you here. I'm gonna quiz everybody
Okay.
out there too in the who's watching or in the comments.
All right. Super Bowl
Because I
halftime
feel like it's
show.
impossible to remember every halftime show ever.
Exactly. It's a lot. All right. Got my list.
All right, if you had to guess the number one, the top ranked halftime show performance of all time, according to the
Okay.
Rolling Stone list, who would you guess?
I think it's probably going to come down to two, but I will say Minneapolis Prince.
Oh, yeah, it was Prince. It was Prince. He's in the number one spot. Wow, that was a heck of a guess. So, number
Because
two,
I remember when that one happened, everybody loved it. So I assumed that's where they were going to go with
it's
it.
hard to hate him. It was hard to hate. It was hard to hate on that
Yeah.
one. Okay, number two was U2. So they got the number two
Okay.
spot, 2002 there. Number three was Beyonce. Interesting. In 2013, Beyonce
Okay.
was
I was about to
at
say, I think she did it a couple of times. Okay. So 20. Okay. Okay.
2013. Okay, so if you had to guess number four, what would you guess?
Look through the list here.
This
Part of
one
me
came as a
wants to
surprise to
say.
me. It
Okay.
was
So surprise.
good,
Okay.
but it was good, but at the same time, it was interesting.
Because I was gonna say, wasn't it Michael Jackson? Because he did do one, didn't he?
I
Yeah,
believe so.
he did the one in '93.
I'm gonna tell you this right now. He is not in the top 10.
Oh, okay, interesting. All right.
There are some in the top 10 that I do not agree with whatsoever.
This is okay. Let's go.
I'll give you this one. The number 4 and 5 spots on this list are collaborations. There were multiple artists.
Okay, that's kind of where I was going. But I was trying to think of. So I'll say '98. The one that was like Salute to Motown. That was '98 in San Diego.
It was Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem,
Oh,
Mary
okay.
Blige, 50 Cent, and Kendrick Lamar in 2022. I did not see that one. The next one was Aerosmith, Britney Spears, NSYNC, Nelly, and Mary J. Blige in that one too. So apparently, Mary was in multiple there. Shakira and Jennifer Lopez in 2020. That's the number 6 spot. Feel like
Okay.
that one got up near the top of it, not simply because of the singing. Let me tell you, that one was not solely based on the singing in that one. Trust me on that one. Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band were in there in the number 7 spot. Number 8
Okay.
was Rihanna. This is one that I don't like. Rihanna in the number 8 spot. I did not enjoy that performance whatsoever. She was pregnant. She couldn't do nothing. The dancing was off. Everything was that was not good. That was not top 10 over Michael Jackson good in this. I don't see that one.
I can agree with that one. Yes, I can agree with that. I'm surprised Michael
Uh,
Jackson was not in the top 10.
I know, because Madonna's in there in 2012. She's on. Lady Gaga in 2017 is number 10.
That one wasn't too bad.
It wasn't terrible, but like above Michael Jackson's,
Yeah.
and below Rihanna. Are you serious on that one? Like Rihanna should be pretty close to the Black Eyed Peas. We got the Rolling Stones, number 11. I did the video from the Rolling Stones. It was a good one. It was a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Katy Perry and Missy Elliott, not a fan. Not a fan of that. I was not a fan of any of the Katy Perry ones, to be honest with you. Was not a fan.
I thought it was okay. Like I said,
I like the Big Tiger. Outside of that, I was not.
I thought like visually the way that, yeah, it was pretty
Let's see
cool.
here.
Yeah.
Paul McCartney was number 13. Michael Jackson was number 14. Tom Petty was number 15. Coldplay, Beyonce, and Bruno Mars in 2016. That was 16. I thought that one was pretty good. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I did
I thought
too.
that one was pretty.
Yeah.
I thought that was banging. I would have put that one above Rihanna. I would have put that one above Rihanna, no doubt in my mind. I don't know why it is at number 16. People just love to hate.
Yeah.
All right, let's go on. Usher in 2024 was at the 18th spot. That one sucked. I'm gonna be honest with you. I did not like that one. Okay, let's get to the bottom of this list. If you had to guess, oh, there's the Who. The Who is on here. They were in 2010. They're at the 27th spot. So now you know the Who is
Okay.
on here. If you had to guess the worst Super Bowl performance to date, who would
Okay.
you guess?
The worst one. That's gonna be. Hmm. Let's go. Actually, I don't even know if this one was bad or not, but I was just throwing it out there as a guess. 2004. I guess that one was. It was like Janet Jackson, P Diddy, Nelly. I only said it because P Diddy was
Ooh,
involved in
that's
it.
rough. That's rough. That one should probably is cranking towards the bottom now. Where is that? That's 2004. Oh, right here. Janet Jackson, Justin Timberlake, P. Diddy, Kid Rock. I do like Kid Rock. That must have been cool, Kid Rock. That's 25. That's 25 on
Okay.
the list. We got 36 of them. Do you have
Okay.
another guess, or do you want me just to give it to you?
I'll throw out another guess. I'm trying to think of ones that people really did not like. Okay, well, I know this one was, yeah. I'll say 2019, the Maroon 5 one.
Maroon 5
People
was
hated
higher on
that
the
one.
list. Maroon 5
Okay.
was higher on the list than I thought they were going to be. They were 2018. Or not 2019. They were 28 on the list. Sorry. I read 28.
Okay.
It was reading wrong. 28th on the list.
Because I
Number
know people
36
hated that one.
was an even hated one, even more. The Black Eyed Peas were in the 36th spot on the list there. The exact quote was, the worst, just the worst. Watching at the time, you instantly knew you were witnessing something magical and special, like seeing a unicorn cough up blood. The Black Eyed Peas had light up robot suits, cool, sorta. They did their version of I've had the time of my life, not so cool. Usher looked like he wanted to hide, and then the tragic words, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Slash, oh slash poor Slash, duetting with Fergie to Sweet Child of Mine. How did this happen?
I vaguely remember that one, so that probably does, yeah, that probably does justify it being kind of low on the list. I
That
mean, look,
cracked
the
me
Black
up.
Eyed Peas, like when they were at their peak, they were pretty cool. I feel like they were a group that, to some, probably hung around a little bit too long, and that probably coincides with that Super Bowl halftime.
Yes, 100%. Yes.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not gonna. Yeah, I can't really necessarily hate that as being the worst.
Yeah. Well, yeah. No, that has to be. It was either them. Maroon 5 wasn't great. There's a lot of them that haven't been great. That's why I think changing up would be okay. Changing it up would be okay on that one. Are you
Yeah,
ready
I
for
mean,
NFL picks for the week?
yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right, I will pull up a schedule here.
And the Broncos are just shellacking the Saints 26-3 or in the it's the end of the third.
Yes, and I did think the Broncos were going to win. I did not think it was going to be like this, but I also did say if there's one game where Sean Payton wanted to make sure his team looked good, it'd be back in New Orleans.
How did they
Uh, let's see. So, I mean, are you wanting to do every game or just the bigger games?
we just do the bigger games? Up to you. Start throwing them
Cool.
out. We'll pick them out.
Let's go. Well, this one, Battle of NFC North, Lions, Vikings. Vikings coming off their bye. Do they keep the good times rolling and stay undefeated, or? The Lions are a tough team.
You know, I've been back and forth with this one because you hear a lot of people as we see the Mets load the bases with nobody out in the bottom of the sixth. All right, here we go. The rally is on, boys. The rally is on. I've heard a lot of people just, Aiden Hutchinson goes down and prayers out to him that it's a speedy recovery. He gets back to the way that we love to see him at because he is, all pro. Possibly future ballot guy. Like, this guy is crazy. This guy is crazy,
Mm-hmm.
different level good. So it is going to be a big impact. Don't get me wrong. It's going to be a huge impact on this team. You could see the Lions go one of two ways on defense. One, they crumble and fall because one of the leaders on that defense is down. They don't know what to do. I don't think that's going to be it. I think Dan
Mm-hmm.
Campbell's going to rally the troops. Aiden Hutchinson, if he's talked to any of these guys, he's got them rallying right now. They're playing for their guy at this point here. The Lions are going to be okay. A lot of people are nervous about the Lions now. I think they are going to address that need that they do need a pass rusher. I don't know if they're going to go get like Hassan Reddick, if they're going to try to make a huge deal like for Max Crosby or for Myles Garrett, because the Browns seem to be on a spring flea right now. They're trying to sell everything off at this point. I don't know what they're going to do, but I'm not as nervous about the Lions as a lot of people are. I like this offense. I think this offense is big. I think they're big time. In this season, I thought the Lions were one of the best teams in the NFC. Aiden Hutchinson goes down. I still think they're one of the best teams in the NFC. My biggest thing with Sam Darnold. When I look at Sam Darnold, I say to myself, when is he going to have a moment where he falls apart, right? So far, it hasn't really happened yet, but you look at a lot of these second half performances by Sam Darnold, they aren't pretty. So
Mm-hmm.
can the Vikings defense stop the Lions for that extended a period of time? Because you look at the Packers game. Yes, the Vikings won 31-29. The Packers put up a lot of points late in that game. And Sam Darnold wasn't doing much to help out the cause. Not much to help him get back in, keep that big lead where it was. So that makes you nervous. You look at the game against the Jets. Aaron Rodgers and the Jets were able to come back on the Vikings, make that game. There was points in that game where the Jets should have won, right? There was a
Mm-hmm.
point where the Packers should have won. They had a fumble late. They had a couple. Jordan Love throws 3 interceptions in that game. Like, there was so many things that went wrong in that game, yet the Packers hung around. The Jets hung around. The Texans, I don't even know what to think of that game because I think more of the Texans than a 34-7 loss to the Vikings. So that's a game that if you're a Texans fan, you kind of put to bed there. But the 49ers, they've been banged up. They beat the 49ers 23-17. So what version of Sam Darnold are we going to get for the whole season? I get nervous simply because the Lions aren't a team they're not going to go away. And I don't think they're going to be getting blown out at halftime. What makes me nervous, I'm a Vikings fan, what's going to happen in the second half. I like the Lions because I think they can put a complete football game together where I haven't seen the Vikings do it in the past couple weeks.
I agree with you. I don't think Dan Campbell will allow this team to slow down in any way just because Hutchinson got hurt. I've looked at this game as the potential, not trap, but necessarily the potential for the Vikings to get their first loss. I feel like the Lions, the way that they play, they know who they are. They're going to run the ball. They'll play action off of it. Jared Goff is usually pretty good with protecting the ball. So I feel like as long as they don't give the Vikings extra possessions, I agree with you. I think the Lions get the win.
I like that.
Let's go ahead and look at. Let's see. It's another big matchup of this week.
And Montgomery scores a touchdown. He's going to score a touchdown. He always does.
Right. I can agree with you on that one as well.
Plus, he's on my fantasy team, so we need it.
So he needs to, yeah.
He needs it.
Maybe one of the games of the week. Texans rolling up to your neck of the woods, facing off against the Packers. So, do your Packers get it done against the Texans team that's coming in with a lot of momentum? They're 4-1, 5-1, I believe, at this point. So, do the Packers slow down a Texans team that, like I said, has been building from week one? Or the Texans have a tough task on their hand as well, as Jordan Love's come back from the early season injury, and that offense looks dangerous right now. So, who do you have?
I'm going to dig way deeper into this on my show tomorrow. I don't want to spend 30 minutes talking about this game here, but
Right.
You look at the Texans, you look at the Packers. Both these teams are great teams. They're great teams at the end of the day. They both have great offenses. Now, where I separate the two teams out is the defense. The Packers
Okay.
have a bend but don't break defense. They're gonna let you. You're gonna get yards on the Packers. You will get yards on the Packers, but they are a very optor. They take their opportunities when they can get them. I couldn't say opportunistic. That word just muffles in my head. They take
Yeah.
their opportunities when they have them. They force turnovers when there's the opportunity for it. That's the biggest thing with the Packers. They bend, but they don't break on defense. And I think at the end of the day, that's something that you watch for in that game. So this game, it's in Lambeau. It's the winter warning game. It's a whiteout. They're asking every fan to just wear white into the stadium there. So you're going to think Penn State atmosphere when you're talking about that game. The NFL screwed up. They put this game at noon. I don't know why they didn't just find a way to put this as the night game because you have the Jets and the Steelers in the 7:20 game. This should be the primetime game. You're talking about two of the up and coming quarterbacks in the league, two of the hottest
Mhm.
offenses, two teams coming into the season where you knew that they were going to be competitors for not just their division, not just the NFC, AFC, but for a Super Bowl title. I mean, the Texans have a realistic shot to compete with the Chiefs and the Ravens for the Super Bowl over there. The Packers have a realistic shot to compete for the NFC. So I look at those two teams going into this game, both hot. Packers, Jordan Love's been playing a lot better. He's mobile again, which is something that we've been waiting for. The question I'm going to have is, and what I'm actually aiming to see, what does this defense do against CJ Stroud? Because he has the
Yeah.
ability to do just about everything you want a quarterback to do and sling it. And they have a lot of weapons on that team. So I want to see what this defense looks like against a Texans team who can do more than just run the football, who can do more than just sling the ball around. They do both and they do both well. So I can't wait to watch this Packers defense to eat my words that they aren't a top 10 defense. This is going to tell me a lot. And I don't think it's going to tell you a lot about the Texans. I think it's going to tell you a lot about the Packers because I believe the Texans have a top 10 defense. I don't think the Packers have a top 10 defense right now. You cannot win a Super Bowl without a top 10 defense. That is just the way that I live. You cannot win a Super Bowl without a top 10 defense. Ask Kansas City. Without Chris Jones, they don't win Super Bowls, right? I mean, you look at a lot of the defenses from the past there, the Broncos,
Mhm.
the Steelers, all of them, the Packers when they won it back in 2010, 2011, whatever it was there. I lose track of my days there. But you have to have a good defense. So this game's going to tell me a lot about the Packers defense in this one and what they really are capable of doing. I like the Packers in this one just because it's at Lambeau Field and the offense, like you said, is hot right now. I'm just very intrigued to see how the defense prepares and plays against a great quarterback and a great offense in the Houston Texans.
Yeah, I mean this one is definitely tough because I like both teams a lot. I like both of these young quarterbacks. Like this is going to be a fun game to watch. I think the biggest thing is going to be for the Texans that they have their running backs back. Joe Mixon's been out the past couple of weeks. He came back last week. He looked really good. I mean, Damian Pierce, it seemed like it's been 2 years that they've been waiting on that guy to come back. He's now back. Having those two in the backfield makes an offense that already has, yes, you're missing Nico Collins, but Tank Dell is going off this year. You still have Stephon Diggs. You'll get Diggs versus Alexander,
Can't wait
which
for
you
that
see it
one.
all the time with
Can't wait.
Minnesota and Green Bay. There's a good chance those two probably get a little active after the whistle a couple of times, but
Now
hey,
here's the
I'm here
starts
for it.
fight. He doesn't end them. He
Yeah,
starts them.
yeah. So it's gonna happen. Look, I think the Texans have a very good chance to go up there and get the win. I would be shocked if the difference is any more than like 3-4 points. I think these two teams are just really good, and I think for both, if fans haven't watched these two teams play, they'll come out of this game like, yeah, that Packers team could come out of the NFC, and that Texans team could come out of the AFC. I really think both teams are at that level, so I'll take the Texans in this one. But hey,
This could be a
I'm just ready
crazy
to enjoy a good game. Yeah,
this could be a crazy Super Bowl potential matchup. That's what this could
yeah,
be. It could
yeah,
very well be. I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but is a crazy has the potential to be something
yeah,
we could see. Now, if not
yeah.
this year, maybe next year, or something like that.
Right. If we got to February and you told me that we were preparing for Texans versus the Packers, I'd be like, Yeah, I could see that.
Yep.
I'd have no issues with watching that game.
No, I agree. That would be a heck of a battle right there. It's going to be a heck of a battle come Sunday.
Yeah. Um. All right. I feel like the other team coming off of a bye that's undefeated. You got the Chiefs heading out to was like Santa Clara to face the 49ers, who haven't necessarily met expectations so far early in the season, but this is an opportunity to go up against a quality opponent. This is also a Super Bowl rematch of, not too far ago, far back, I should say. Um, how do you see this one going? Because oddly enough, the Niners are the favorite in this one, even though the Chiefs just don't lose coming off of a bye, especially with Andy Reid. So do they continue that, or can the 49ers, without CMC once again, take down a really good opponent?
They need Debo was limited at practice on Thursday, so that's something to keep an eye on leading up to this game. Is Debo Samuel's health heading into this one? Dron
Mm-hmm.
Jennings is also questionable. Jordan Mason is also questionable. Isaac Guerrero, I'm pretty sure if this is the guy that I'm thinking of right now, I'm pretty sure he played at Wisconsin at one point here. Let me find him. Yes, he did. Former Badger Isaac Guerrero, he played at Louisville his
Okay.
last season, but he did play at Wisconsin from 2019 to 2022. That's where I remembered his name from there. He's a good back. I mean, I liked him at Wisconsin. It was just Wisconsin's got a bazillion and one running backs in the room, so they
Yep.
don't need them all at the end of the day. He didn't get a lot of playing time. But, I mean, yeah, you have in front of him was Braylon Allen. You had Ches Malusi coming along. You just had a bunch of guys in the room already that he just wasn't going to see
Mm-hmm.
playing. Jonathan Taylor was in the room, so it just didn't work out for him. But he could be in line to potentially get the start in the running back spot if Jordan Mason can't go, because they're running thin in that running back room. McCaffrey's
Yep.
out. Patrick Taylor is now with the 49ers. He's been with the Green Bay Packers for the past 3 years. He's our practice squad, or he's always seems to be on the waiver wires. So whenever we have a back go down, he knows the playbook. So we just bring him up on the phone. We're like, hey, come up to New England or
Right.
whatever. We're playing a football game. And he's like, all right, I'm on my way, and he'll come up there. But he's
Yeah.
in line to be the second string. So that's how thin they are right now at that running back spot. But you have your weapons. I mean, you have IU. You have, if Jennings plays, if Kittle's out there, you hopefully Debo's out there. The 49ers got to show me something. They got to show me
Yeah.
something to prove that they are the 49ers of what we know. Because as of right now, you're sitting 3-3. I know you've been injury riddled, but at the same time, you haven't shown me. Brock Purdy hasn't shown me. I'm just not comfortable with this team right now. If I'm a 49ers fan, I'm not comfortable with this team right now. I don't think Kansas City loses this game coming off the bye week. I do if I'm a 49ers fan, which I'm not, but if I was, I want to see the 49ers show me something. I don't care if you lose. If you get blown out like 31-18 or 31 to
Right.
17 or something like that, like it's panic time in San Francisco. It's panic time. Like, we need to go out and make some moves. We need to find a wide receiver. We need to find this. We need to find, I don't care what we have to do. We have to find something. Otherwise, we're scrapping this season, because as of right now, a 3-3 49ers team, that's got to be one of the most surprising things, I would say. A 3-3. The Mets don't score a run. They don't score a run in that sixth inning. I just saw that. Are you
Yeah.
kidding me right now?
Yeah.
I'm going to take the Chiefs to win that game. I think it's going to be close. I think the 49ers will play that game well. The Chiefs coming off a bye. I'm not going to say that they're going to be rusty, but it's a home game for the 49ers. I think that'll help. I think they'll keep it close. I'm just intrigued. I am intrigued to see what the 49ers look like against a very good Kansas City team who, I mean, they're missing weapons too. I mean, don't
Yeah.
get me wrong, Kansas City's missing guys. So, I mean, you're talking about two teams here are missing guys. Who has the ability to take their team over the top even in that situation? That's what we're going to find out.
Yeah. I feel like these are two teams that, despite their record, have not necessarily been clicking on all cylinders week in and week out. I do agree that this is probably a game that means more to the 49ers. Like, this is a game that you would think that they are going to be up for and will want to win badly. Obviously the Chiefs want to win the game, but For the Chiefs, they've won back to back Super Bowls. Like they are just taking this regular season as is. They are a team that fully believes that they just make the playoffs, they got a shot. 49ers can definitely turn around the perception of them this season if they get a win against Kansas City. So I think because of that, I would probably take the 49ers by a field goal. I agree. There's no chance the 49ers blow out the Chiefs or anything, because if they do that, then we might have to rethink how we look at this 49ers team. But I don't think they have that, and I don't think Spagnolo or Andy Reid would allow that.
And I'm re-looking at
So
the
yeah,
Kansas City too
I'll take the
because in the
Niners.
AFC, the Ravens, if the Chiefs if they get the doors knocked in by the 49ers,
Mm-hmm.
are the Ravens the team to beat? Because the Ravens have looked really good now that they got Derrick Henry going, Lamar's going, the defense looks good.
Mm-hmm.
Like it almost flips the script that in the AFC where it's no longer the Chiefs are the team to beat. Well, they won 2 Super Bowls, so they're still a team to beat. But are they still
Yes,
the team to beat then, or are you talking about the Ravens and saying this team is more dangerous than the Chiefs?
I'd say no, because
Okay.
last year, remember that AFC title game was in Baltimore. Kansas City went in there, got the job done, and yes, they
Yeah, but
didn't
they're
have
so
Derrick Henry.
stupid. They're so stupid. They find a way to turn it on and turn it off like it's nothing.
Right, and
They
look,
were at a point
the
last year
Ravens.
where they weren't even going to make the playoffs, wasn't that? They were at a point where it's like they were on the verge of not making the playoffs.
Oh,
I would have to
trying to
look at the
think.
Chiefs' record as of last season. Hold on. I thought there was a point last year
I
where it
feel like
was
both these
all going
teams were
down.
kind of cemented in.
Let's look. 2023 regular season.
Because the Ravens were the 1 seed last year.
Yeah, I was just trying to. What were the Chiefs then? They lost 5 games. They lost 5 games. Yeah,
Yeah,
they weren't on the verge of not making
because
it.
all the
I
talk with
think
the
they
Chiefs
were
last year, the Chiefs were, no wide receivers, and this was the year that it was gonna, yeah,
fall apart.
fall in on them. Yeah, and they turned it on in the playoffs.
They
I
always
mean,
find
it
a way.
helped. It helped that their first game was in Kansas City, and Miami no showed that game because they're soft.
They
But
do. I mean, that kills Miami every single year is the cold.
yep, yep. So
I don't know why. I don't know why.
I feel like if the Chiefs are in, they're the favorite. They don't need to be the 1 seed. For the Ravens have this mental block they need to get past, because it's been a couple of years that they have been a team that a lot of fans like, but they haven't gotten over the hump in the playoffs. They need to learn, once you get to the playoffs, it's a different game. Brady and the Patriots
Absolutely.
used to find ways to win in the postseason. Mahomes and the Chiefs do the same thing. Like, you have to play smart football against Kansas City to beat them in January and February. And the Ravens
And
didn't do that
Joe
last year.
Burrow, he's the last one to really do it, isn't he?
Yeah,
Isn't
and
that
there's
something?
a reason why. There's a reason why, because Burrow looks at that matchup and goes, "I'm just as good as Patrick Mahomes is."
Burrow
Does
is
It
ice
doesn't hurt that
cold.
he
I
has,
don't care what Chris Canty says. That dude is ice cold.
yeah, that
He
guy.
is not
That's
the
why I'm
reason
like,
why the Bengals suck.
they're not. I mean, he's not at all. Like, it's the defense. But for me, it's
That
like
irritates me when anybody says that. It irritates the crap out of me.
that's been some random narrative this season for some reason, that all these analysts are trying to make it seem like Burrow is some type of fraud, which I'm like, I'm not. No, because I'll tell you right now, if the Bengals turn this around and find their way into the playoffs, look out.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow's not a guy you want to mess with in January and February.
No, and the offense is fine. I mean, besides, I mean, everybody could use offensive line help, but I mean, the offense is fine. Just the defense is so. I mean, you could drive a truck through the holes that defense has got made in.
That
That's
is,
it.
as Jory puts, that's a very good point. Yes.
Chris Canty.
And
Chris
look,
Canty played for the Giants back in the day, didn't he? Yeah, he was a Giants guy.
yes, yeah.
He's just a
Giants.
doorknob.
Did
He
he, did he
drives
have a
double.
stop in Dallas too?
I could figure it out. Chris Canty.
Yeah,
I
he's been
sometimes
the
I listen
spearhead
to
for
him and I
this.
can't handle it. Sometimes I listen to him and I'm like, just shut up.
He, for some reason, has some issue with Joe Burrow.
Chris Canty he played for the Baltimore Ravens.
There you go.
He
That
played
perfectly
for
explains it now.
Dallas. He played for the Giants, and then he played for the Baltimore Ravens.
There you go.
Wonder why he hates.
Makes
He
perfect
played for
sense now.
Dallas to start, which means he hates everybody, and everybody hates him. Then he played for the
Yep.
Giants, so he just piggybacked Eli Manning to a Super Bowl because that guy, future Hall of Famer, dog. And then he went to the Ravens, so that's why he hates the Bengals so much. Now we got it.
Yeah. Figured it out. Something
Uh,
told me that he had some ties to the AFC North somewhere.
It
Okay.
had to have been because I was like, this is a Giants guy. Why does he hate? Because there was that
Yeah.
game, Joe Burrow and they played the Ravens, and he threw for like over 300 yards, and he had 4 touchdowns. And all I hear from Chris Canty on the morning show on ESPN, he's like, "Oh yeah, Joe Burrow threw that interception late in that game, and that cost them the game." I'm like, dude, the defense gave up 41 freaking points.
Right.
You shouldn't have to score 45 points. I mean, yes, sometimes you do, but you shouldn't
Mhm.
have to score 45 points to win a football game. Like you
Right.
have to play deep. He's a defensive guy. Like you should know when the defense sucks, it's not all on the quarterback. 4 touchdowns,
Yeah.
1 interception. I tell you what, if Jordan Love gave me that every single game, I get over it. I get over it at the end of the day.
Jory, absolutely. Bart Scott, I cannot stand that guy on TV.
Nick
I
Wright.
hate Bart Scott on TV.
Nick Wright drives me up a
Nick
wall.
Wright has very few moments where I'm like, okay, and then he'll completely wipe it away with the most random list or his little pyramid tier thing that he does. And I'm like,
Drives me
there we
nuts.
go.
Nick
Yeah.
Wright, some of the crap that he says, I'm like, dude, oh, I'd rather listen to Stephen A. Smith just talk or, Mad Dog and Stephen A. Smith with Shannon all there together yelling at each other. Like, I'd rather listen to that.
Yes. Yeah, this is where Nick Wright gets in trouble. It's like
Him
he
and Chris
loves him some Mahomes.
Collinsworth. I cannot handle Chris Collinsworth talking about you'll be watching a game between the Rams and I don't care who. And Matt Stafford will throw a ball. And he'll say, "Man, that looks like just something that Patrick Mahomes would do. That looks like something we'd see out of Patrick Mahomes." And you sit there and you're like, "Chris Collinsworth, hey, asshat." Like, sorry for cussing there, but asshat, like Matt Stafford was doing this before Patrick Mahomes was here. Like
Hmm.
the drop down sidearm crap. That's been Patrick.
Yeah.
That's been
Stafford
Matt
was doing that
Stafford,
at Georgia.
Rodgers. It doesn't matter. They've all been doing this drop down sidearm bull crap that Patrick Mahomes does. Yes, Patrick Mahomes is a fantastic quarterback. Don't get me wrong.
Hmm.
I'm not trying to shoot down Patrick Mahomes right now. He is like a different level kind of dude. But what he does, if you really look at the landscape of quarterbacks throughout the years, it's not crazy. Like it is crazy some of the stuff that he does, but at the same time, it's like this has been done. This has been done by other quarterbacks. And when Chris Collinsworth talks, I'm like, oh my god, like we're not even the Chiefs aren't even in this game, dude. Why are you talking about Patrick Mahomes? He's not even here. Like who
Yeah.
cares? I can't. When the Packers played the Chiefs in that they played them last season there, and the Packers ended up beating them. But every time Jordan Love threw a football, he's like, "Oh, it looked like Patrick Mahomes throwing that football right there." I'm like, "No, it looked like Jordan Love throwing the football right there.
Hmm.
Like, that was Jordan Love. Like, don't get me wrong."
Yeah. I mean, look, Collinsworth, if you know the matchup that he's calling, you can tell which players he's going to wave the pom poms for because he just loves the big names, which I'm not mad at if he wants to like celebrate the greatness of certain players, but yeah, he does kind of overdo it a lot. But
Jory, your tears are better than Nick.
yes,
Your tears are better.
yes. And I guess cheap plug, I guess. Tomorrow, Passion and Precision, Jory will have a second edition of her tiers. So you guys should definitely tune in for that. So there we go.
We
Cross
will be
promoted.
there. We'll be there.
Yes. Uh let's see, what's the other game? All right, there's
Nope.
like two more games that I feel like we could talk about. Jets Steelers, only because look, it's Sunday night. You got the Jets. Aaron Rodgers is now happy. He's got Devontae Adams. He brought him on for Pat McAfee. Like Rodgers is living the good life right now, and they're facing a Steelers team that, for whatever reason, 4-2 and have a quarterback competition on their hands. It looks like they're going to go to Russell Wilson. So, do the Jets turn their season around and start winning some of these games, or does the Steelers defense kind of stymie the Jets and we see more Aaron Rodgers frustration?
This is the stupidest thing that Mike Tomlin and the Steelers can do. I don't get it. I don't get your 4-2. I don't get the quarterback move. I'm gonna be honest with you. This is what I said from the beginning when I heard that Russell Wilson might start. If Russell Wilson starts for the Jets or for the Jets for the Steelers, the Jets will win.
Okay.
If Justin Fields starts for the Steelers will win. That's what I. That is simple as that. I don't know why you mess with it. It's you're 4-2 right now. Justin Fields has done nothing besides his inability to throw the deep ball, which I don't understand why there is an inability to throw the deep ball. Because if anybody would love to pull up the tape on Justin Fields at Ohio State, this dude
Mm-hmm.
was slinging deep balls left and right. So I really don't think there's an inability to throw the deep ball. Is it a confidence thing? Is it? I don't know what it is with Justin Fields in the deep ball, but he has the ability. He has the ability to throw deep balls. So don't get words twisted. This guy can throw the ball. I don't know why he doesn't, why they don't let him, but he doesn't. So that's what I got on that. Russell Wilson isn't going to make this team better. I don't. Will he make the passing game better? Yeah, that's about all he can do at this point. Maybe for a Russell Wilson fan out there, I'm hoping I'm wrong for you. I really am, but I don't see the Steelers getting better under Russell Wilson. I don't. And now, like I said it a couple weeks ago, once you make the move from Justin Fields to Russell Wilson, you can't go back. This is it. You just told us Justin Fields is not good enough to be the quarterback in Pittsburgh. That's what you just said to us. Because Justin Fields, I mean, you listen to his presser that he did, and he sounds upset. I mean, he should be. What has he done wrong? He's 4-2. This Steelers team is 4-2 under Justin Fields. He is second in the division to the Ravens, actually tied with the Ravens for first in the division right now. What has he done wrong to lose his job as a starting quarterback outside of not able to throw the deep ball as much as you like to? Nothing. He has
Yeah.
done nothing wrong. So at the end of the day, I think Mike Tomlin's messing up this Steelers team more by simply starting Russell Wilson. I would have let it ride. Let it. I mean, yeah, that's what what's his name said. Let it ride there with Russell Wilson. I would have let it go with Justin Fields until he told me, or until it was proven that he couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Now you can't go back because you just told everybody inside that locker room he's not good enough to be the quarterback. That's it. You just told TJ Watt, you told everybody on that defense, you told everybody on that offense, George Pickens, Najee Harris, the offensive line, you just told them without telling them Justin Fields is not good enough to lead this football team, even though we're 4-2 right now. So now there's no going back. It's Russell Wilson or bust at this point. And if the Steelers fall apart and Mike Tomlin does not get to a 500 record again, he tarnished that himself. He did that himself by making this quarterback change prematurely at this point because I don't think it was needed. I hate the move personally. I'm going to tell you now because it does look like Russell Wilson is going to be the starter for this game. Jets will win this game. Jets will win it just simply because of that.
Okay. Uh, I agree with you. I would like to see Fields continue on. He was a guy that didn't get necessarily the best opportunities in Chicago. It seemed like he was finally in a spot that he was confident being himself. I agree with you. The deep ball thing is weird. Maybe that's the last mental block he needs to get over before he really takes off. My only thing is, you got to remember to start the season, the plan was for Russell Wilson to be the starter. That's what they were in a good. That's what they were going to do week one, but he got hurt. Fields started, and now that Russell Wilson is healthy, it looks like they're going to give him the opportunity that they were going to give him for week one. I don't necessarily think that if Russell Wilson stinks, that you can't go back to Justin Fields. I think Fields will be okay. I feel like him being upset now is a good thing because he should know that he played well. I assume that they relayed to him that, look, Russ was a starter, he's healthy, we're going with him. I would hope Fields would understand that, because I also think Fields should know he has more of a future in Pittsburgh than Russ does. Russ is there on a 1 year deal. Russ is at the tail end of his career. Russ is trying to create some kind of market for himself next season if he decides to keep playing. Because after the Denver year, a lot of people thought he was done. He was washed. So if he can come out against the Jets, play well, then look, kind of like what Jory was saying, teams may call Pittsburgh and say, hey, what do you want for Russ? Maybe they make a deal. Or, hey, maybe they even go the crazy route and say, we got Russ. We're fine with Russ. We'll trade Justin Fields because maybe they get a little bit more for Justin Fields and then go into the draft and try to draft somebody. I don't know. I feel like it's probably more likely that Russ gets moved. So they're hoping that Russ goes out there and plays well because maybe a Miami comes calling. Tua doesn't look like he's coming back. They're over the Tyler Huntley thing and they go, hey, we got Russ for the rest of the year. Why not? Or trying to think of another team that really needs a quarterback. I mean, the Giants do, but Daniel Jones has way too much money tied up into him. I don't think they'll go that route with him. But, one of these teams come calling and they move on, and then Fields is back in there. I wouldn't be mad at that. I still think if Russ or Fields starts, I think the Steelers get it done. I'm not buying into this Jets team. I'm not buying into Aaron Rodgers. I don't care if he's happy now. Okay. The first or second time TJ Watt comes flying around that edge and lays him out, we'll get the same sad Rodgers we've seen all season, and he's going to be pouting on the sideline. I don't care if Devontae Adams is out there or not. Aaron Rodgers is going to be pouting in this game, and I think the Steelers win this one. I think the last game, we'll have to look at this one. Ravens and the Bucks. Ravens, who you just mentioned, are tied atop the AFC North. The Bucks are in a battle with the Atlanta Falcons for the NFC South. You got Baker Mayfield. He has some, ties with the AFC North teams as he used to be in Cleveland. So he used to play the Ravens a good amount. I mean, how do you see this one going? The Ravens probably are playing the better football right now, but it is on the road. It's in Tampa Bay. And if you get good Baker Mayfield, you can get a performance of 4 touchdowns and a pick, or you could get what you got last week. First half, Baker looks horrible. Second half, he looks like a world beater. So I don't know what to make of the Bucks, but how do you see that one going? And the Ravens are coming off of a pretty good win over the Commanders themselves.
Right now, the Ravens are favored by 3.5 at the moment, but that line will move a little bit there. Baker at home against the Ravens in prime time. Give me the Bucks. Give me the Bucks to pull a shocker. I think they got a good enough defense. It's going to be about run stopping, right? I'm making Lamar Jackson throw as much as I possibly can. Because if there's a knock to his game, it's his inability sometimes to throw the football. Like, that's plain and simple. His decision-making sometimes, right? That's where his only knock can be made because the guy can run. We know that. If you let Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson just get out and run whenever they want to run, you're screwed. That's just plain and simple at this point. So if they can bottle him up, if they can bottle up the run game just a little bit for the Baltimore Ravens, which has been hard to do, we've seen teams try to do it. They've struggled. I think it's possible. Give me the Bucks. Give me the Bucks.
I'm there with you. I'm somebody who definitely is a fan of Baker. I feel like with Todd Bowles, he's been around the block a few times. Todd Bowles should have the ability to come up with a plan where you can contain Lamar Jackson, don't let him get outside the tackles, and you gear up to stop Derrick Henry, even though that's tough. We know Derrick Henry, powerful runner and all that. I feel like the key is going to be the Bucks get out early, get a lead, force the Ravens to kind of pull back on their run-dominant offense, and then play ball. See if Lamar can throw it 35, 40 times and get a win. That's going to be their best bet because the Ravens right now want balance, if not leaning more towards the run game, and that's how they're beating people right now. So yeah, I think the Bucks will be ready. I think Baker Mayfield. Look, you got to ride the roller coaster with Baker. You know there's going to be some low points, but when he's going, like that guy feeds off of energy, and those other guys play the same way. And remember, Ravens secondary can be beat, and the Bucks have Chris Godwin and Mike Evans.
Who people
I'll
forget
take my
about.
chances. I will take my chances with Mike Evans against the Ravens secondary. So I'll take the Bucks as well.
I like that. People forget about Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. They're like the forgotten kids down
It's
there in the back.
crazy.
Yep.
Some of these wide receivers that people don't think about, Tyler Lockett, Keenan Allen, Mike Evans, like they are easily forgotten for some reason.
Not your household names anymore. They're not your household
Yeah.
names. They're not with dominant quarterbacks. That's a big thing too. All right, Patrick Mahomes. You talk about him. You got to talk about his receivers.
Yeah.
You got Tua down there when he's lighting it up with Tyreek Hill. I mean, that's a big reason why Tyreek Hill became known was because of Patrick Mahomes. So I mean, look at the Packers. Like if I were to ask everybody in the out there right now if they could name me every single pack of wide receiver that's on the active roster right now, they couldn't do it. They have no idea because the Packers don't have household name wide receivers.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's baffling. It's baffling to me. Let's fly through the college football schedule quick. I'll give you the top teams. I'll give you the top games over this weekend. We'll fly through it before we got to wrap up here. Are you ready?
Yep. Let's go.
Okay. So we got this one's not a ranked matchup, but I think it's going to be a good game, and it's going to decide a lot because Indiana 6-0 coming into this game against Nebraska, who is sitting at 5-1. It's in Bloomington. Can Indiana keep the perfect streak alive? Can they get to 7-0?
I mean, it's kind of crazy that Indiana's become a football school all of a sudden. I mean, they haven't had this kind of buzz since Penix was there, which wasn't that long ago. But I mean, why not? Like, I would love to see Indiana, a school that you won't think of as a college football powerhouse, make the playoff. Why not? Let's ride this out. I'll ride with Indiana on this one.
I like Indiana too. Kurt Singetti is crazy. He coached at James Madison. He's always been a winning coach. Coach at James Madison, now at Indiana. He said, I saw an interview with him. He said that they don't get to wherever they're going to play. Now, if they went to Nebraska, they wouldn't get there early. They leave late from Bloomington. They'd get down to Nebraska. Last time they had a road trip, they got there about 8 o'clock at night. They ate supper. They went to bed. They woke up the next day, played a game, and then they got on the bus and went home. Like, that's what he doesn't want anything in between. He's like, boom, boom, boom. We get there, we go to bed, we wake up, we play football, we go back home. Like, I love that. Like, this guy, he's something.
I respect that.
He's something, all right, and he's got these Indiana Hoosiers being talked about. So you got to love that. So I agree. I love Indiana to get to 7-0 and make it interesting at the top of the Big Ten because you got a lot of good teams in there. If they stay with one loss on the season, talking about them with an Oregon and Ohio State, that's going to be crazy. That'll be a crazy way to end the season there. So we got Alabama taking on Tennessee in Knoxville. I'm going to blow the lid off this one right away. Tennessee wins this game. Alabama has not been impressive to me in a couple weeks. I don't even know if they've been impressive at all. They blew that big lead against Georgia. They lost that game to Vanderbilt, and then they should have lost. If South Carolina had any kind of quarterback play, they should have lost to South Carolina too. So give me Tennessee to win that game in Knoxville.
I mean, it does seem like recent years, Tennessee's been one of those teams in the SEC that kind of gets up for this Alabama game and have given Alabama problems. Oh, man. I'm kind of leaning your way as well with this one. But I'm gonna say that Alabama rights the Vandy loss because that one was still shocking to me. I think Alabama pulls this one out. But I think Tennessee's gonna have a really good showing. I think Tennessee will have a great showing, but I think Alabama gets it done late in this one.
That's a 2:30 game. That is a terrible 2:30 game. Why is it on a 2:30? I hate the NCAA sometimes. They should make
that should be.
You know what these games
should be
are.
under the lights in Tennessee. That should be one of those. Yeah.
Yes, 1,000%. But there's a reason why because. It's on ABC. You got another big game on ABC right after it, so you might have to pick and choose here because you have number one Texas taking on number 5 Georgia in Austin. That's going to be a battle right there.
Yeah.
Texas, I mean, they are, if you had to ask me, they're the most complete team in college football right now. I
Hmm.
mean, they made the quickest transition from Quinn Ewers to Arch Manning back to Quinn Ewers and didn't skip a beat. Like it's just like boom,
Exactly.
boom. Like this system, everything down there, what they got going on, you can't hate on it. I mean, unless you're an Oklahoma fan, you can't hate on it. Give me Texas. I think they stay perfect. I think Texas stays in that number 1 spot. I think it's a heck of a ball game. Like this game is going to be one that's going to be talked about for the rest of the season. It could be a game that's talked about in the postseason too, because they might see each other again. But I like Texas in this matchup, especially because it's in Austin and it's a night game.
Yeah, I feel like Georgia hasn't been the Georgia that we remember, and I feel like this has been kind of building for a couple of years with Texas. I think Texas is ready to really make some noise this year. Like you said, the Ewers to Manning to Ewers thing. Not every school can seamlessly do that. I think that speaks to the talent, the preparedness of this Texas team. I don't think they're going to look at Georgia and be scared in one instance with this game. So I think Texas continues on and goes to 7-0,
I like that.
which would be interesting because Georgia now would have two losses. What does that do for the committee?
I don't know. This committee is going to have a heck of a time because I think
Yeah,
there's going to be a lot of two-loss teams. I really
I,
do. I
I
think
do
there's a
too.
lot of two-loss teams. Like Ohio State. What happens if Ohio State loses another game, or if Alabama or Georgia loses another game? I mean, you're talking about a mess there that you
Yeah,
got to sift through because how do you keep all three of those teams if they all have two losses? How do you keep them out? How do you
yeah.
explain to Alabama that, James Madison, or I'm not saying James Madison's going to make it, or Boise State? How do you explain to Alabama that Boise State's getting in there as a 12th seed? Like, how do you explain that one? I don't know. It's going to be tough. Like, the committee's got, we went from 4 teams to 12 teams, and we're like, oh, it's going to fix everything. It will not
It's
fix
just
everything.
adding more. Yeah,
Yeah. Because I said it right away. I was like, you look at, we talked about the NCAA tournament when they were talking about going from 64 to 68, and they're talking about 72. And it's like, okay, we're doing that to accommodate the team that was left off, right? St. John's was left off last year, and I believe Seton Hall was left off. They both believe
hmm
they should have been in. Okay, so now you add 4 more teams. What does the 73rd team say? What does the 74th team say? Okay, so
right.
each time are we going to just let more teams in? I think the committee's got to put their foot down eventually and just say, "Boom, Texas or not Texas, but Georgia, you have 2 losses. I'm sorry, your bad 2 losses are going to keep you out. I mean, that's just plain and simple. So, I mean, it's going to be rough. It is going to be. This season is shaping up to be madness. This season
Yeah,
is shaping up to be madness in college football because I don't, outside of Texas, there's a lot of other teams that can move pieces around. There's a lot of other teams that could win games and possibly compete with Texas. I just think right now Texas is the most complete football team through and through. Like that is a great football team right there.
yeah.
We got one more ranked matchup.
All right.
Michigan, Illinois. Number 24 Michigan taking on Illinois. Illinois coming in 5-1, Michigan at 4-2. I think this will be the game that'll finally put Michigan out of the top 25 because I don't believe they're a good team. They don't have a good quarterback, and that is their biggest problem right now. Give me Illinois to win that one in Champaign. I don't think Michigan will win that game.
I agree. Like, JJ McCarthy was much maligned last year. It's like, oh, he's not that good of a quarterback. But it seemed like big games he showed up well. I don't think this Michigan team's getting that. So yeah, I'll kind of agree with you that I know some Michigan fans might be losing their minds with this team. I think it's going to continue again. They'll probably be punching a wall after this one. Yeah, I agree. I'll go with Illinois.
I agree. I agree 100% on that one. The Dodgers are now up 9-2. This isn't even a game. I got a bad feeling we're going to be having a Yankees Dodgers World Series.
I'm okay with that because my worst fear was we were getting Yankees Mets. I don't want two New York teams. If we get Yankees Dodgers, I'm fine with it.
I just don't like the Yankees or the Dodgers.
I mean, yeah, preferably I would love to see probably Guardians Mets, but
It just ain't happening. It's just not going
right,
to happen. I mean, the Guardians got to win, but now it's what? Backs against the wall 3-1. When was the last time an MLB team came back from 3-1?
Those Red Sox against the same Yankees.
Oh, wouldn't that be something? Oh, that's
That
storybook.
would be crazy.
That is storybook right there.
Yeah.
We could have a 30 for 30 on how the Guardians came back to beat the Yankees.
Yep.
Oh, that would drive Yankee fans would lose their
They
absolute
would
marbles.
lose their
I
mind.
love
Yes.
Twitter. I love Twitter because midway through the season, everybody was ready to shoot and like exile Aaron Boone. And now that they're
Hmm.
winning in the playoffs, he's like the greatest thing that has ever happened to Yankees baseball.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey,
Oh,
that's Yankees for you. The Yankees are desperate to win. It's
they
been a
are.
while.
They desperately need one. Just as
Yes.
much as Dallas desperately needs one. I mean, if you really think about it, the Browns have won more than Dallas has in recent times.
Crazy to think.
Yeah, that's bad. That's bad news right there because the Browns have stunk for a while,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
Dallas is a regular season team.
That seems like that's what they are now. And well, not this year
They're not
because they
even a
know they've
regular
been
season
good in the
team
regular
now.
season. Yeah.
This might be the
Uh,
year they would have been a playoff team. If they sneak into the playoffs, maybe they're a playoff team now.
maybe we'll see. Like there's plenty
Or
of weeks to. There's plenty of weeks for either the Cowboys to just completely implode or write a interesting comeback story.
they
We'll see.
fall apart. Mike McCarthy ends up going to the Jets, and he is now coaching Aaron Rodgers. Mets fans are crying already. It's 2-1, guys. We still. Oh, that guy is just pounding beers now. He's like, I'm
I,
done. I'm done with this. I
the
can't. He
Mets are
got
like
the rally cap
programmed.
on.
Look, Frank the Tank's a Mets fan. Like they're programmed to think the worst. So
I cannot wait to see it. These Mets fans are all crying at this point. It's like, guys, there still is another game. Oh my goodness gracious, there's another hit. It is 10-2.
yeah,
This is a rout.
that it is. Um, yeah, I look. I feel like we that's probably a good place to end this episode. Uh, I mean, it's getting a little late on the East. I know the East Coast people are probably like, trying to put their head on that pillow.
Late enough in the Central too, my friend. Late in the
True.
Central.
Yes, it definitely is. So yeah, so those of you who joined us in the chat, we definitely appreciate all of you. If you check it out after the fact, love that as well. And if you do, go ahead and leave a comment at this point. Let us know what you thought. Hit the like button. Make sure you follow and subscribe to Integrity Sports Network. This has been Sports Banter across the country. Make sure you check out Trajan on Wisconsin Sports on the Go. Definitely a great show for you to follow and interact with. You can catch me out on other shows on here or chomping at the bit. We greatly appreciate that as well. But you all enjoy the rest of your night, and we're out of here.